I'm here at Mobile World Congress. I'm here with Bruno Zerbib. He's the Chief Technology and Innovation Officer of Orange. Bruno, thanks very much for joining me today.
Pleasure to be here.
Busy show as usual, and lots of talk about AI, which is not a surprise, but the topic's been moving on, I think, in the last few months. And kind of keen to get your thoughts on some of the emerging trends that we're seeing, this talk of AI inference as a service and what that means for telcos. Is that something that Orange is thinking about at all?
Yeah, it's something that we're looking into because we believe that in AI at the edge, the thing that it's not clear to us, you've heard about DeepSeek, obviously. DeepSeek was a breakthrough in terms of overall cost of training of the model, but the inferencing cost is not coming down.
Yeah.
So I think we have to be very careful because at the end of the day, what's the most important part for us as telcos are the economics of running those models, not training those models. We don't want to train them, we want to run them. And so we're still trying to figure out how we can bring those costs down.
Okay, and you mentioned DeepSeek there. I mean, what is that doing? Does that have much relevance at all for your world and the world of the network?
It's interesting what's happening is last year we thought that LLMs were on this exponential growth and transformation, and you see what happened. The breakthrough came from optimization, not making a better model. A few weeks ago, actually last week, OpenAI announced their 4.5, which has infrastructure training cost that has been multiplied by 10, it seems like it, but then it's barely better. So we're hitting the point of marginal return. So what I think we are learning from this is that the economics of LLMs are going to change, going to be a race to the bottom for like generic LLMs. They are going to become a commodity, very hard to differentiate between each other. A commodity stays essential, but it means the economics, the value capture is going to have to be somewhere else. And so we're trying to figure out what it means. Maybe it's going to be delivering safety, sovereignty, access to those kind of LLMs. But the LLM itself, now you can get it for free from an open source provider. So it's really shifting the way we thought the value was going to come from. And if you want to spend 20 euros a month on an LLM, you're going to have to ask yourself, what are you really paying for? Are you paying for the cost of building the LLMs, training it, or the cost of running it? It really looks like going to be the latter.
Right. Has it changed your thoughts about how you get involved in things like large language model development at all?
Yes, it does, because I think, I believe we're going to see more efficient, smaller models that are going to be very powerful and will require extremely low latency. So really the expectation from our customers, as much as they can, they want to do everything on the device.
Yeah.
And really when they can't, they are pushing that to the cloud. But even in the cloud, they want low latency, they want safety. So they're really going to challenge us and say, Orange, we want to make sure that when it's in the cloud, it has to be at the edge of the cloud, so on your network, as opposed to be thousands of miles away. And so we have to look into how delivering those services. We do that today for B2B. The question is how we're going to be able to do that for B2C customers as well.
Are there obvious use cases here? I mean, there's this low latency idea. It's been talked about with things like gaming in the past. Is real-time translation maybe something that
I think real-time translation will happen on the device.
Right.
I don't think that's complicated enough. And my thought process based on the hardware evolution is that by 2030, you'll get on the device what you can do with ChatGPT today.
Right.
So I think we have to be ready for the needs of 2030. The needs of 2025 will be addressed more or less locally in many, many ways. I think by 2030, what you will see is multimodal AI, real-time streaming of audio and video. I like to use the Jarvis example, like in the movie Iron Man. I think that's the kind of expectation that you're going to have. Or having a next-generation voicemail where when the person doesn't pick up, you're talking to its avatar. It has to be quite advanced, be able to set up a calendar, set up a meeting with you, all of those things. You also have the use case that we've been working on for inclusive AI, where you have this blind man crossing the street in a city and wearing like meta glasses, essentially streaming everything to the cloud, hopefully the edge of the cloud, being analyzed, processed, and then the directions are being sent back through audio streaming back to those glasses. And if you want to do that, you really need to have extremely low latency and 100% availability service. So I think that's where we're going to have to play a very important role.
Okay, so this edge of the cloud area, which is part of Nvidia's pitch as well at the moment, putting GPUs there, maybe using them for some of these applications and doing some telco functions on that as well. What are your thoughts about that? I know last year we talked a bit about Nvidia, and whether there's even alternatives to Nvidia for doing
So
this
I
kind
think
of
they
thing.
are very expensive. One of the things that I'm understanding more and more about Nvidia is with CUDA, they have created 15 years ago a software development for parallel processing that a lot of developers have been embracing and they've been working on for like building like next generation, very computational intensive applications, and it has become the software environment for AI developers for building LLMs. So the question is, it's not about having a piece of hardware that is as powerful as Nvidia. I think you're going to see the hyperscalers coming up with alternatives. The real challenge is when developers will have a development environment that will abstract away from Nvidia so that they can choose different hardware platforms. That is happening right now. Many startups are working on that in the Bay Area, but it's not taking off yet. So I'm expecting that by the next 1 or 2 years, 2 years from now, we'll see developers shifting away from CUDA and working on things that will abstract away from the hardware platform. When that happens, there will be a push for not turning the GPU into a commodity, but at least there will be more competition in that area.
Yeah. It sounds almost like this sort of Intel x86
Yes,
issue, I guess.
exactly.
Like that software ecosystem
That's correct.
developed. Well, I mean, we'll be back here next year. I mean, AI is moving so quickly. I don't know what's going to be happening this time next year. But thanks very much for joining me, Bruno.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you so
hopefully
much.
we can do it again.
Thank you.